Happy April 1st. It's April Fool's Day, but no jokes here. Boy, the news is just riveted with Rocket's acquisition of Mr. Cooper. And I thought I'd take a minute just to unpack it. And let me just start by saying, when our competitor gets better, we should be grateful because it will make us better. And that's what we see with all the participants in the mortgage space, whether it be wholesalers or direct to consumers or servicing or these global super apps. They're all getting dramatically better. And what has to happen if we want to stay relevant, if we want to stay viable, we have to get dramatically better too. And so personally, I'm thankful when one of our competitors gets better. And certainly Rocket is the top of that list. So it's announced yesterday that Rocket is going to acquire Mr. Cooper for an all-stock deal. Now, the deal is worth about $9.4 billion, and this is on the heels of Rocket buying Redfin for $1.75 billion earlier this month. So they've been on quite the buying spree. Now, what does it all mean? Now, of course, all these companies are super big, but it's not that they're super big. They're also best in class. Mr. Cooper is a great company. Rocket is a great company. And both of them are very tech enabled, tech forward, AI forward. I mean, you couldn't have a closer alignment between two companies, and it's going to make a great company, right? And now, here's the thing that's amazing, and this is the thing that we all have to pay attention to, is today, servicers are really well liked. Historically, they were the butt of all jokes. I mean, Mr. Cooper had to change his name twice just because his brand, its brand value was so poor. Customers thought so poorly of it, it kept changing its name. That's not true anymore. Today, Mr. Cooper's customers love Mr. Cooper. And Mr. Cooper not only does good service to them, but stays very relevant and timely and has customized journeys for them. You get a really good experience with Mr. Cooper. Now, here's another thing about servicers before I get on to Rocket Mortgage. Today, servicers aren't just servicers. They're big origination companies. And the servicer today, they hire professional loan officers who they give the best tools to, and they constantly train them up. And those loan officers are out winning purchase business. That's right. Mr. Cooper has a giant purchase business platform where they generate purchase opportunities from their book of business. They're no longer just happy trying to retain the servicing. They're trying to expand their portfolio through originations from purchases and referrals from their book of business, right? And Mr. Cooper's been doing a great job. And Mr. Cooper has been reported that they've had as high as 50% retention of the refis in their book. Now that's well over double the average that's normal. And that's one of the things that all these super servicers are doing. They're getting these incredible retention rates, which gets us to Rocket. You know what Rocket's retention rate is reported last year? Rocket reported they retained 83% of all the refis within their servicing book. 83%. That's 3 times the industry average, 83%. One of the things that Mr. Cooper is very excited about in joining the Rocket platform is they hope to see retention rates similar to that. That's crazy. Now, you know what that means for the average retail loan officer? Is that if your company sells servicing, they're selling your client that you will probably not be able to retain, that you will probably not get back. Not only will you not be able to do the refis in the future, but you won't have the opportunity to do their purchases or get referrals from them because these big companies are doing great. So the question is going to become, if I'm a retail loan officer, if I'm an IMB loan officer, if I'm a wholesale a broker, how do I retain my client? Because Rocket, Mr. Cooper, it doesn't matter. You could add NewRez, Freedom, all these giant servicers. They're figuring out how to delight your customer. They're using unbelievable technology. They're using crazy predictive analytics to understand when the customer needs us, when we need to be in front of the customer, what kind of customized journey should we help lead the customer to their next transaction. So if I'm a loan officer, I'm at an IMB or a brokerage or I'm a small shop, how do I compete? That's what you have to ask yourself. And the answer is get better. Get better. First, figure out how to be with a company to retain servicing. Simply my opinion, everybody. You got to be the company to retain servicing. But on top of that, you actually have to service your customer, service them with value over time, nurture the relationship, be relevant, be present, be timely, use advanced technologies to understand what their needs are and where they are in their different journeys in life. Use advanced technologies to delight them with their customer journey and your service and your value. Up your game in your words and your advice. That's what it's going to mean. That's what we're all going to have to do to compete. That's right. That's what we're going to have to do to compete. And I personally relish it because I hope all of us get better, because if the end result, the passion is helping get people into homes, helping people achieve the American dream, then the better that each of us get as an instrument to making that happen makes the whole home ownership game better. And so I appreciate that. Now I'm gonna share a couple articles. I'm gonna go to my screen. I'm gonna share a couple articles. I've read about 20, just like you guys, on this thing. And I just want to share some of the key data, key statistics, and then we'll wrap up with some more. Thoughts on this. So this is from yesterday. Inman did a great article on this yesterday afternoon. The rocket companies, of course, set to acquire Mr. Cooper for $9.4 billion, of which they had to get a $5 billion bridge loan from JP Morgan. It's nice to have that kind of balance sheet, right? Combined, the companies will now service more than $2.1 trillion in loan volume, or about 10 million clients. Those 10 million clients represent 1 in 6 mortgages in the United States. Now, Varun, who I'm a Varun fanboy, I think this guy's going to change the industry and he's going to make us all better. But what he says, with the right data and AI infrastructure, we'll deliver the right products at the right time. That's how we build lifelong relationships, by proactively unlocking benefits and meeting the needs before they arise. Now, and then you can see the next sentence where they say Mr. Cooper or Rocket Mortgage has an 83% recapture rate. That is insane. Before continuing with the article, I just want to share. I've seen Varun talk twice last year. I think 3 times last year. One of the places I saw him talk was at the Gathering. He was great. And you know what he came up with? I remember I was texting Dave Savage. He was in the front row, of course. I'm in the back row. And we're listening to Varun. I'm like, dude, did you just hear what that guy said? Because he kept talking about predictive advice, right? Being in front of your customer, giving them the advice they need when they need it. And so he said, Rocket's goal is not only to give this, this unbelievable, delightful experience, but they want to use predictive advice to be able to be meaningful and relevant in front of the customer before they need it. And I just really love that. I really love that comment. So let's get back to this article I'm sharing from Inman. There's a couple other points in this article, if I remember right. So the deal is expected to generate about $100 million in pre-tax revenue. That's mostly from Rocket attaching their title, closing, and appraisal services to Mr. Cooper's mortgage origination. They also have some $400 million in pre-tax cost savings. I have to believe that's mostly through their tech departments. They both have giant tech departments. Now, you know what? And I want to talk about this. We got to talk about Redfin too. And I'm going to talk about it when I go to a different article, but just how they're piecing everything together. So with that, let's go to the next article really quick. This is HousingWire. It's from this morning. HousingWire was first reported. HousingWire had an article in my inbox yesterday at 5 o'clock announcing this. And then, of course, we saw it in Chrisman right after that. And then we saw about 30 articles. But some things that caught my eye, that once again, this is Varun. See, Varun wants to be the Apple, have Rocket be the Apple of home ownership. And what he saw when he came to Rocket, that it was a highly frustrating and just jagged experience for customers. Like, it wasn't smooth. Like, we weren't leveraging all the technology. We weren't making it easy. We were making it way too hard. And he goes, we can make this like Apple or like Amazon, and we can build a juggernaut here. So he says in this quote right here, we want to build an integrated home ownership platform. There's 3 pieces to that. There's interacting with the consumer at the top of the funnel as they go through the experience of searching for a home or selling a home, which is their Redfin strategy. There's the origination process, which is all of the financing, title, closing, then servicing, which is Rocket's platform. And then there's there's servicing, where they essentially develop a lifetime relationship. So he's put together 3 pieces: the top of the funnel, real estate; the middle of the funnel, mortgage, title, escrow; and the bottom of the funnel, servicing. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that really, really interesting? Now, here's the thing too. I highlighted this. Varun said, hey, we're not done shopping. You guys, if you want to join the Rocket world, we're open. Doesn't matter how big or small you are, come talk to us. They're not done building, everybody. And so one last thing in this article from the HousingWire that caught my attention is Mr. Cooper actually owns 20% of Sagent, which is a mortgage servicing platform. Rocket uses ICE mortgage technology, and what Rocket plans to do is switch to the Sagent platform. So a pretty big change there. And here it is talking about, hey, look, this Rocket's built a world-class origination platform. Mr. Cooper has a world-class servicing platform. They both have massive tech stacks. They think it's going to be pretty easy. They have both big advanced tech teams. As you know, Mr. Cooper just onboarded. They just onboarded Flagstar's, servicing platform without a hiccup. It went great. They think they're going to be able to easily merge these two tech platforms. Now, here's the thing. This is the thing I want you to pay attention to the most. And it says, and what Varun says here, I think it's pretty cool when you look at the combined data sets between these three companies collectively. It will triple before Rocket had before these deals. So let me just comment on that too, because this is a super important point that I want you to pay attention to. When Rocket announced the purchase of Redfin, Varun in one of his early calls with his stockholders said the purchase is worth it simply to get their data. And here's the thing, one of the things that Rocket has done, and they've been working on it for years, is building this massive AI engine, Rocket AI. And it's massive. And they fed this AI millions and millions and millions of gigabytes of information. In fact, their AI listens to every single phone call with the consumer. So their AI is learning about the consumer and it's recording it and it's picking up cues that the loan officer doesn't get. And then the AI is building a lifetime journey based on what it heard from that client. And then every time the company interacts with that client, it goes back into the AI and the AI adjusts their lifetime journey, right? And so when Rocket announced that they were buying Redfin, what Varun said is, can you imagine between the two companies, we're going to have 12 petabytes of data to be able to train our machine on. And I remember that was 12 petabytes. It was like 13 million gigabytes, right? And now with the acquisition of Mr. Cooper, they get that much more data that they get to train, because all AI is only good as the information you give it. The information, the training, the data. Whoever can give their AI the most data wins. They have the most powerful engine in the world. And that's what I think Rocket's really after. I get the above the funnel, in the funnel, below the funnel strategy, but that's not it at all. It's like we're going to get all the data and we're going to train our massive AI engines and we're going to have this huge muscular advantage because we have all the data. And I just think that's fascinating. Now, just a side note, technology is a fleeting advantage because at some point the market catches up to that technology, vendors create it and they sell it, they sell it across the entire, bandwidth, so it's fleeting and I don't buy into that. Well, you're on, Apple phone 1 and we're on Apple phone 13. I don't buy into that. For sure technology gets democratized. So don't worry if you think they have a head start. It will all catch up in the end, in my opinion. So let's look at this third article. Another interesting article. It brings up a couple of different things, and I'll just wrap up with hopefully some good words of encouragement. So let's go to this one right here. This is from the Basis Points, and they're talking about this. They're saying how, hey, look, Mr. Cooper is the largest servicer. We already know that. Rocket was the 8th ranked servicer. To combine, they're going to service 14.7% of the homes. But look at this. I highlight this thing in blue and green. This is not to be missed. You know what you may not know? Mr. Cooper had $22.8 billion in originations last year. Mr. Cooper is an origination company. Do you know, I think they have 6 purchase call centers around the country. I don't know the exact number, but they have, I think, well over 200 purchase loan officers. And each of those purchase loan officers are doing roughly 5 deals a month. They're a formidable purchase company. It's incredible. And they're getting it from their book. And that's what Rocket is so excited about. They're going to take those same strategies and they're going to marry their technology. They're going to marry their retention rates and they're going to create this juggernaut. So if you look at it from the origination, we talked about how this new company will service 1 in 6 homes, but also has 7.5% market share in the mortgage arena. 7.5, right? Only second to United Wholesale Mortgage. So there you go. Very interesting. And then you can see here, it's quoted again, the retention rate for Rocket is 83%, 3 times the industry average. It's just going to be all sorts of craziness. So here, let's wrap up with this. And by the way, I've been posting on my socials. Go to my LinkedIn, check it out. But I'll tell you, don't be worried about, you're going to hear more. There's going to be more consolidation. The market's ripe for it because you need economy of scale to be able to afford all these technologies. You need all the advantages, and especially when the market's depressed. Now, you got the market's depressed, so companies are cheap. You have economy of scale that you need to achieve to be competitive, and you have a very favorable, regulatory environment that's going to pretty much allow M&As. So you're going to see more of these. You're going to see, we probably haven't even seen the biggest news. I was hanging out with a bunch of people the other day, and I'm like, what don't we know yet? What is the unknown? And of course, there's a million rumors out there, which, I'm not going to be a purveyor of all these rumors, but of massive, say, tech companies that aren't in the industry coming into the industry, giant industry companies being bought. It's just, who knows what's going to happen? But here's what I know. I know if I get better every day, if I'm committed to helping my customers, if I'm ultimately exceptionally human with my customers, and I'm giving them caring service, if I'm giving them, great advice, then I'm going to win. But I need to up my game. I need to up my delivery system. I need to figure out, because all these technologies are just delivery systems on how to delight the customer. What's my delivery system? How am I building that to scale? How am I one-timing that? How am I automating it so I can come on top and I can be the secret sauce, but I can only be the secret sauce on top of a platform that I build. And so I'll just need to be super committed to it. And it starts, I'm telling you, for us, if you're just a lone officer, working from your, back room, just start with getting really good with your words. Get really good with your words, get really good caring about people, and then keep building, and it will be okay. And I, for one, I'm grateful for everything that's going on in the industry. I'm grateful that it's going to help us be better instruments of delivering the American dream of home ownership and the related, wealth that comes with that. That's a passion of mine. I know it's a passion of yours. Let's embrace these changes. Let's keep getting better. The changes aren't going to stop. Anyway. Happy April Fool's Day. No joke here, though. Have a great day. I'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks.